been lucky enough to come to your beautiful pub. I think it's a 16th century pub, isn't it? But it's very
Yes.
small and it's very cosy. And I'd imagine that the social distancing for you would be particularly tricky.
It virtually is impossible, and that's the thing with a lot of our pubs, the British pubs, is they are really old buildings. You know, ours is about 400 years old, and it is just impossible to get around the bar, to get to the bathrooms, and not kind of encroach in that 2-meter social distancing. So it's a really, really difficult thing. I would love more than anything for the pub to be open, especially when the sun shines. And I popped in there a couple of days ago, and it was just such a sad sight. You know, it should have been absolutely rammed, but it was empty, and you know, all the chairs were stacked high. And you know, but the thing is, we have to abide by, you know, what the scientists are telling us and the law. And in little pubs, it's going to be impossible.
OK, well, Jonathan, I know that the Hospitality Union looks after a number of different pubs as well, some of which don't suffer with the same thing that Jody's pub, which is a very small 16th century pub, and will have big enough space to do this. Do you think the public can be trusted? Because, of course, the big concern is we go to the pub with the best of intentions to have a little drink, to spare with it, spend some time with a few friends, very carefully social distancing. But it doesn't take much to have a couple of drinks and then we relax a little bit, and those social distancing constraints get less and less strict, do they?
I agree, and Jody's right for small venues, but as a country, as a nation, we've done a great job so far. We've been a nation compliant. We've generally, you know, with very few exceptions, followed the rules, followed the guidelines. We've done what's been expected of us. We're allowed to go to parks a bit more often now, and beaches, and people are safe distancing where they can. And you know, we've been going to supermarkets throughout this period to buy alcohol, to take outside and drink in the streets, in the parks, on the beaches. And I think we should be allowed to do that from our local pubs, where those pubs are operating, you know, in accordance with agreed standards, and where it's safe to do so, safe for the workers, safe for the customers, safe for everybody. And I think we want that to happen sooner than July the 4th. That's what the government has indicated, when some pubs and other venues can open. That's still several weeks away. You know, some pubs are ready to open this weekend. The bigger pubs, more space, outside space helps. It shouldn't be the only guiding principle, though. I think it's about whether you can operate safely with all the distancing rules, whether workers are safe, whether the team are safe, and whether you know, customers are happy to come in and enjoy a pint in the sunshine, inside or outside.
So, Jody, I mean, you know, we look at the issue of safety there. Obviously, you've mentioned because of your particular layout of your pub, it would be very difficult to get that social distancing in place. I mean, the pub industry, though, as a whole, have been really suffering before all of this happened. Do you worry about what this will mean for pubs? I mean, I know that there are lots of people, it's funny the things that people miss, isn't it? And actually going to the pubs, people getting together with their friends, being out there in the local community is one of those things that I think has actually hit people quite hard, that they can't just pop down to their local and do the kind of things that they normally do.
No, I mean, but before the coronavirus, we were losing up to 3 pubs a day. You know, it's a very, very hard industry. The margins are very, very tight and very small. So it was already, you know, at a very kind of unbalanced point. So goodness gracious, I don't know how many pubs are going to survive getting through the coronavirus. And I think it's going to be quite a shock, actually, about how many don't open their doors again. You know, it is a tough industry, but you know, I have to say the government has been fantastic. They've given us some amazing grants, but you know, we still need a little bit more help, because I think basically within the hospitality kind of sector, we're going to be the last place where people, of course you'll have a few that, you know, our regulars will come flying in and be so happy that the doors are open, but there'll be a lot of people who'll be quite frightened to come out to pubs and bars again. So I think, you know, we're going to need a little bit extra help from the government, because I think we're going to be one of the last places where people have confidence to come and, you know, and to get the pubs back to the level that they were before, which was, you know, which was a very tough time anyway, losing 3 a day.
Jonathan, I mean, we saw Katie was at a pub in Liverpool where they had come up with a solution. They were doing take-out beers, but they were still struggling because everybody, it's such a sociable thing, isn't it, having a drink? You sit around, you talk to people maybe that you don't know. You know, it's exactly what happened when I went into Jody's lovely pub. You know, it's so cosy and so friendly that you talk to all sorts of people that are in there. And that's one of the issues, is people aren't just having a drink and then leaving. They're having a drink and staying. And lots of people sort of getting in touch with us, Nick, saying, I'd love to have a pint, but after a few, it just turned into a party. So we can't do it just yet. It's just not safe enough.
Well, I think, again, we've trusted people to make the right choices all along the way throughout this, and we just got to trust them a bit further. And things are going to have to relax at some point. They already have in the last few weeks. We're just talking about a gentle phased reopening with all the distancing rules in place, other protocols, you know, in terms of sanitizing. It's about health, it's about hygiene, it's about good practice. And you know, pub owners are used to looking after their customers. People who work in hospitality spend their days, spend their weeks looking after people. We're not on the front line like NHS workers or care workers, but we are really good at looking after people. We're experts in food safety. We're experts in customer safety. You saw from Connor there in Liverpool what he was doing and how he was going to make his pub work for some of his customers. And Jody's right. A lot of people won't come out anyway. There's still this fear of the virus. There'll be new customer behaviour. Pubs aren't just all of a sudden going to become packed. It's going to be a gentle, slowly getting back to normal. I think we have to do this in a phased way to get some people back to work, to get our supply lines back open so we can start serving people drinks, food, and a good time in the right environment. And I think the sooner we start to do that, the better for everybody, provided the science supports that. And I think it does at the moment. And as long as it continues to, then let's get on with it, please.
I mean, Jody, you were nodding there where Ben read out that comment from our viewer on Twitter. Yeah. Is there an issue that, you know, as soon as you start to loosen the restrictions, even with 2 metre distancing in place, that people, when they get together, because we've all been, you know, pent up, we've been stuck at home, we've all been in lockdown, that as soon as even the slightest measures are taken to ease that, people are allowed to go to pubs, that everyone's just going to go crazy?
Yeah. And especially after, you know, a glass or two, and then that's going to have to put my staff and my team in a situation where they're going to have to keep on going in between these people to keep reminding them. I just think it's really important not to rush this. The most important thing is that we do not get a second spike. If we get a second spike, it will completely cripple the hospitality world. And I think it's just something that we should not rush.
Thank you very much, guys, for your input. Jody, one last thing, of course, because there'll be lots of people this morning who were going, goodness me, Jody Kidd was a very successful, famous model and celebrity. We enjoyed her on Strictly. And now she's a landlord. It's almost like she's got a proper job. How are you enjoying being a publican?
It's a really tough world. And basically, I had noticed seeing so many local pubs where I live rurally close and turn into houses. And so my local pub, the Half Moon, was closed down. I heard developers were going to buy it and turn it into a house. And I just thought, I can't allow that to happen. So I got together with a group of friends and bought the pub and then went, what have I done? I mean, I had no idea about the industry, had no idea about running teams and dealing with chefs. And it's been blood, sweat and tears, but it is amazing to see it, you know, or when it was open, and to see people just coming and celebrating and yourself there, you know, and it's a beautiful, beautiful property. So we're super, super proud of it. And I just cannot tell you, I can't wait for it to be back open and for all our regulars to be back in there. But I just think it's so important that we don't rush this.